I'm going to give you actual drills that you can use in practice so that your athletes aren't sleepwalking. You can feel that something's off, something's missing. When I get on a coaching call, that's usually one of the first things a head coach tells me. They're really talented, just something is missing. It's a psychological sleepwalking, and it is silently killing your season.
Hello, and thank you for joining the Champion Within podcast, your premier go-to spot for unlocking your winning mindset. Whether you're an athlete looking to elevate your game to the next level, a coach leading the charge, an enthusiastic parent cheering from the sidelines, or an educator molding young minds, the Champion Within podcast episodes are packed with value, sharing the tools and strategies to unlock your potential and rise to new heights. Hosted by mentor, coach, and mindset leader Kate McCauley. Let's sit back and enjoy today's episode while discovering your champion within. And now, here's Kate.
As a mindset performance coach, I work with teams who are super talented. They are training physically, but still underperforming. And it has nothing to do with their skill. It's because their brains have checked out. I'm going to use examples from cheerleading teams I've worked with, a basketball team, softball team, maybe a couple other teams. I'm just going to throw them in there as I talk to you today. I want you to interrupt this brain pattern so that you can start using this at your next practice. What exactly is this psychological sleepwalking? Before I get into the athlete part of it, I need you to know that we all do it. I really think that if I'm going to be honest, I'm doing it on social media sometimes. I know I have to post there because I want to find people that I can help. But sometimes I just go and search and say, what's the trend that's going on? All right, let me see if I can use this audio. How do I put it into whatever I'm doing? I'm just going through the motions because honestly, I have so many other things. The podcast, I'm actually working with teams and presenting at workshops and in the corporate space. So I'm sleepwalking a little bit there. Think about times when you're sleepwalking. You're just going through the motions. We all do it. When we're talking about sports and your athletes, there's psychological sleepwalking. It's not laziness. It's not that they don't care. It's the natural byproduct of repetition without awareness. When athletes do the same skills, the same set, same routine over and over, the brain hands off this job to muscle memory. That's actually a really good thing, and it's useful for efficiency, but it can be really dangerous for your performance, for your athletes. On the surface, everything's looking fine. You know they know the play, they know the counts, they know the cues, but high performance is not just about what the body is doing. It's about where your mind is while your body is going through those motions. If you have a sleepwalking athlete, or maybe your whole team is sleepwalking, here's what's going to be happening. And think about this related to your actual athletes. They're reactionary instead of responding. They play the score instead of being in the moment. They're drifting mentally into this boring space in between the action. I see that a lot of my softball teams. This is really what happens when you lose to a team and you have that talk afterwards in the huddle or in the locker room. You say, we should have won that. We should have scored higher. We know that we are better than what we gave today. And you're saying things like, I want you to be more present. I need you to be more hungry, get more locked in. The biggest threat to your season is rarely a better team or more talent. It's unfocused ones. An unfocused team or unfocused group of athletes is a huge issue related to how you're going to perform, your stats at the end of the season, your medals, your trophies, what you're bringing home. Think about cheerleading for a minute. I'm going to totally make up a term here. I'm just going to call this the perfection fog on the mat. Cheerleading is precision under pressure. A 2-minute and 30-second routine looks really glamorous under the lights, but behind it, that is hundreds of reps. Running through it, the full routine, repetition is necessary, but it can also pull athletes into this dangerous fog. Here's how this happens with my cheerleaders. The routine becomes a script. They start counting instead of competing. 5, 6, 7, 8 replaces, this is our moment. Their faces are on, but their eyes are disconnected. You'll see stunts hit in practice, then they bobble them on the big stage out there on the mat. Not because the athletes forgot how to do it, but because mentally they're a step ahead or they're a step behind. The flyer's already thinking about the pyramid while she's still in the air. The base catches, but her focus is on the judges, not on the hands. The perfection fog here is sneaky because from a distance, it looks fine. Scores might still be respectable, but that invisible 5 to 10% drop in the presence, that's the space where their timing's going to slip, communication breaks, they start to have lack of trust in themselves, their teammates, confidence is going to crack under pressure. And when a team is psychologically sleepwalking through that routine, they are one small mistake away from a cascade of mistakes, that domino effect. I had someone send me a message after they bobbled something and then recovered quick because we had been doing mental training together. And the mom simply said, if this was last season when we didn't have you, my daughter would have mentally freaked out, made a ton more mistakes, even if they were little mistakes. It would have affected the entire routine. Completely different this year. And when you're at the elite level for your sport, there's a difference between a podium finish and an early exit. Let's talk about some of the basketball players I work with. This is the scoreboard curse or the transition fog. If you're a basketball player, you know that it's a game of runs, rhythm, rapid decisions. The ball is rarely still, and yet sleepwalking shows up all over the court, especially in those gray zones. When the players are mentally lingering on that last possession instead of living in the current one, here's what it's going to look like. A guard who misses a box out because they're still upset about a non-call. They might even be still complaining to the ref. One of your wings jogging back on defense because you're up 10 and they think, the game's handled. A defender who closes out halfway because the clock says 1 minute, 30 seconds, they assume the other team is done fighting. They start playing the scoreboard instead of each possession. Their eyes are drifting from the ball and looking at the clock. Their attention slides from execution to the outcome of the game. And once that happens to your basketball team, even your most experienced athletes and teams as a whole, they can unravel fast. Momentum in basketball is fragile. One lazy rotation, one unfocused pass, one half-hearted contest can flip an entire game. If you're in that transition fog or focusing on the scoreboard, they don't lose because they can't play. They lose because they stop fully showing up for every possession. This is something that you need to do every single game. Elite basketball players and teams, it's not just about the playbook. It's about mindset. We win this possession, then the next one, then the next one. A mentally trained team is going to treat every moment as that moment, regardless of the score at the time. I want to give you another example in the softball world. I love working with my softball players. I call this the dugout drift and the danger of waiting. If you play softball or baseball, you know it's a game of patience wrapped into bursts and speed, a lot of precision involved here. But there's a lot of standing, waiting, and watching that goes on more than most sports. Probably why you see kids in t-ball picking the dandelions in the outfield. Also could be why my two children who started out softball and baseball switched to lacrosse. It was just more fast and they weren't good with that downtime. The downtime is exactly where that dugout drift creeps in. You've seen it if you're a coach. The athletes start the game sharp. They're vocal, they're ready. The innings start to stretch out. Pitchers work slowly and the at-bats are dragging. Your players might be starting to chat about school. Oh my gosh, I hope they're not, but I've seen this happen. Some of them are even scrolling on their phones in between innings. If your athletes have your phones out, that is a totally different episode, but they have to put their phones away. Had to just throw that in there. They're half watching, basically, is what's happening here. They're mentally half watching the field and mentally checking out. And by the time they step into that batter's box, they're trying to flip that switch, but it hasn't been used in 10, 15 minutes. Their body's up and their eyes are still in the dugout. Then they're completely shocked by the speed, the spin, the late movement of that pitch. Defensively, Your softball or your baseball players, if they're in that dugout drift where they're just half there, half out, and somewhere else land, you're going to see things like flat foot reactions out in the field, late breaks to get to the ball, missing that communication. Maybe it's not happening at all. Softball and baseball is going to punish athletes who aren't present. Once that ball is in motion, it is fast. There's really no time to wake up mid-pitch. By then, it's already over, right? The teams that are going to dominate here are not just technically better, they are mentally engaged between every single pitch. They treat waiting as part of the performance, not a little break from it. I need to jump in here. Coach, quick question. Do your athletes look amazing at practice, but when the game gets tight or you have a big competition, they panic, lose focus, fall apart, start talking negatively before they even compete, missed plays, bad body language, heads down? You know they have the talent, but pressure is winning. That's not a talent problem. That's a mental side of the sport problem. I run a team program called The Champion Within, where I train athletes using my CHAMP framework: confidence, habits, attitude, mental imagery, and purpose. I literally retrain their brains so they know how to stay calm, get focused, and compete like the champions they are. When the moments get big, they need to know how to regulate their nervous system. It needs to be automatic. The teams that win consistently, they train their minds, not just their bodies. Just go down to the show notes, click on the link, or send me a DM on Instagram with the word team, and I'll get you everything you need. Okay, let's get back to the podcast. Let's remember, you're not going to fix sleepwalking by yelling, "Focus!" louder. The way you're going to fix it is by interrupting that autopilot and forcing their brain to re-engage in that moment. Here's 3 practical drills that you could try in practice if you feel that fog might be creeping in when you perform, or maybe you do see it in practice. For my cheerleaders, I want you to try to run a silent routine. Try a full out or a key section of your routine with 0 music, 0 counting. No one talks, no one whispers, no one cues. This is going to be difficult, but this drill forces your athletes to rely on visual awareness instead of just going to that autopilot of the music. They're going to feel the timing in their body instead of that 8 count. I want you to notice where they've been leaning on the noise rather than being present. When the music is gone, their brain has to wake up. Suddenly, they're going to realize how much they've just been skating through on autopilot. After a few silent runs, bring the music back and watch how much more alive and connected they are. That's exactly how you wake up your cheerleading team. For my basketball coaches, since I shared a basketball example, I want you to try throwing in some chaos in between their transitions here. Run your usual 3-on-2, 4-on-4, 5-on-5, whatever it is you're doing, but at random intervals, I want you to blow the whistle. The player who has the ball must drop it immediately, and then you call out a new defense or offense, whatever the situation is, on the fly. So full court press, 2-3, man-to-man, side out. This drill is going to force your athletes to switch their mental gear in seconds. They have to listen, process, and act without drifting. I want them to let go of that last play and adapt quickly to this new reality. The brain can't sleepwalk through chaos. Let's talk about my softball, my baseball teams. Pitch by pitch intent. I want you to throw in this drill when they're in the cage or having live batting practice. I want you to require your hitter to call out either the ball or strike or the spin, the rotation, the moment the ball leaves the hand of the pitcher. No swing is allowed without a verbal read. So ball, strike, you need them to yell that out. This drill is going to train your athletes to lock their eyes in earlier. It's going to connect their visual information and watching that ball to their decision-making a lot faster. They're going to stay mentally present on every single pitch instead of waiting for their pitch to finally wake up. You're going to quickly see which hitters are just reacting and which are truly seeing the ball here. And over time, that plate discipline is going to sharpen, and their mental engagement from pitch to pitch is going to climb dramatically. These drills are powerful. And I want you to go try this with your team or do something similar if you're a different sport. But remember, they're pattern interrupters. They are not a full mental performance system. It's a spark. It is not the whole fire. You cannot DIY a mindset training program. It's usually going to fall flat. Most coaches try to handle their own mindset because you care. You truly love your athletes. You wouldn't be listening to this podcast if you didn't care about mindset. You know your athletes are talented. You see that there is a problem. Something's missing. You're giving speeches. You're sharing quotes. You're adding mental toughness to your talks or to your practice. For a day or two, maybe even a game, things are going to improve, but then your team is going to slide back into old habits. This is not because you're a bad coach. It's because you're already wearing too many hats. So you need to be on top of the strategy. You need to be the technician with the physical reps. Sometimes you have to be the disciplinarian or maybe even the parent figure. When you try to add in mental performance coach to that long list, your players are often going to tune it out just as more as the same voice they hear every day. It turns into background noise, even when your message is spot on. I become what is the third voice effect. I am not the one who decides their playing time, their lineup, where they are out on the mat, any role that they have. I have this power of neutrality. When I coach a cheerleader through that pre-mat routine, the anxiety or a pitcher resetting after a home run, what I say lands differently. I'm not correcting them, I'm equipping them. I'm not just out there giving them a pep talk. It's evidence-based tools, the visualization, the breath work, the EFT. These techniques moves your athletes out of that survival mode and into what I like to call the green light focus. They're calm, clear, fully engaged. You as the coach are paid to talk about the results, the wins, the scores, your standing, placements. I, as the mental performance coach, focus on the process, the thoughts, the habits, emotional regulation, and internal narratives, that little voice that's whispering to them. I can spot the little mental leaks in the roster before they show up as losing streaks for you, before that one athlete or the whole team collapses under pressure, or when you have that quiet quitting in practice. When we work together, your role, my role, we complement each other instead of competing against each other. The solution is not more screaming, not more conditioning, or any type of punishment or a slogan on the back of a t-shirt. The solution is teaching them how to focus instead of just demanding it. Training their mind with the same seriousness that you're training their body. I want you to ask yourself, what would it look like if this wasn't occasional, but it was built into our program? What if every athlete on your roster had tools to reset, refocus, and compete and be present? And by the way, it's unique for each one of them. Not just when things are going well, but they need to do this, especially when they're not. That's where I come in. I'm talking mostly about your athletes in this episode, but I created a blog post, how coaches can sleepwalk too, on my website. I will put the links right in the show notes so you can go read it. You might be doing this without realizing it. And it doesn't mean you're a bad coach. It means that you're probably in survival mode for a long time. Let's be honest, you're carrying the weight and the responsibility of the results. When you wake up as a coach, it's not this conscious aha moment. It's actually a series of choices. I support the coaches as well as the athletes in all of my programs. If you want to wake up as a coach, it means you're going to shift from not only commanding things, but also collaborating with them. And I know that might scare you. And it doesn't mean that you're relaxing on your standards. It means that you're going to involve the athletes in the process. Don't we want them to be a part of the process? After all, I know that you as a coach want them to be a better human when they leave you. An awake culture on a team is where you reflect. It's normal to reflect. It's not just reserved for crisis moments where we should have won that. I can't believe this happened. Nope. Reflection is part of the process. And in the blog post, I tell you exactly how you can do that on a deeper level. If you're in that awake culture on your team, your athlete should expect that you ask, how do they feel and think? Not just about how they performed, and not be surprised when you do it. When they have a mistake, it's feedback, not a personal verdict. Honest conversations are encouraged, not avoided. You as the coach, you're going to set this tone by going first. When athletes see you continuously waking up your own patterns, they are far more willing to look at their own. Teams begin to move from survival to growth. And guess what? That's how you win. That's how you bring home the trophies and the medals. And I know that it's not all about that, but it is about that. You want to perform well, right? You cannot just be going through the motions and start becoming these competitors who you know you can be without becoming mentally sharp. Yes, the physical skills matter. We are not abandoning them, but they need to be alongside the mental training. I'm here to help you. I want to help you wake up so that you can wake up your team as winners. They need support to bring all of who they are, body, skill, and their mind into the present moment. You can keep hoping that they lock in on their own, or you can make mental performance a deliberate part of the program. If you're ready, here's what we do. We get on a call, talk about your team, and design a mental performance blueprint tailored for your team and your sport. They're going to have pre-game, pre-competition reset audios that they can use on the bus, at home. I check in with them. I lead coaches and check in with the coaches. You have access to me. You might be sleepwalking. They might be sleepwalking. Your team is not far away. They are one level of focus away, one decision away. Reach out to me. Use the links below in the show notes. I am ready to take them to the next level. If you want to get them there, let's do this together and unleash the champion within them. Thanks for hanging out with me today on The Champion Within. Make sure you come back on Sunday and tune in for that Speedy Sunday episode. Have an amazing rest of your week.
Thank you for hanging out with Kate today. And whether you're going to coach, teach, cheer from the sidelines, or hitting the field yourself, remember, mindset is everything. Don't forget to follow the show for the latest episodes, as we all need a little extra motivation, humor, and sanity in our busy lives. Now, go and unleash your champion within you, one step at a time. We're always rooting for you.